Let me see. Look like my live chat. Look like my live chat's not on. Yo, somebody let me know. Say something in the comment section because I'm not seeing any comments. Okay, I got it. It came up. Solid, solid. Well, good evening. Man, it's been a minute, so it's nice to see everybody. I see everybody's emojis and comments. I guess we're gonna get right into it, whatever that means. Um, Happy tornado season, everybody. Uh, my part of my state got hit pretty bad with tornadoes recently. Actually, the day before yesterday. So it's been a crazy couple days for a lot of people in my city. They ain't got power, they ain't got water, they ain't got roofs or houses. A lot of people, so it's kind of crazy. So if you live in a tornado zone or you've been affected by tornadoes, I know the feeling. At least I know from witnessing. I've been very fortunate. Hit, we didn't get any damage at all. So I'm pretty happy about that. But a lot of people got hit. So prayers for those people. Anyway, we're gonna get into this. Somebody said so. I guess this might have been a minute ago. Somebody said so. What's the countdown when it starts? Now. It starts now. What's going on, JJ Emerald? Better late than broke. That's interesting. Vicky Payne, Sonora, Bill Stone. Um, Let me see. Somebody said, look, I'm just gonna jump right into it. So Bill Stone, shout out Bill Stone. He said, what if your fiance won't hide her relationship status from divorced? Isn't that just advertising as available? Uh, yeah, I don't know why a person would do that. Um, you know, social media is like kryptonite to a healthy relationship when people seek to manipulate it, in the optics of social media. I try not to pay very much attention at all to social media, but for people to strategically withhold information on social media always makes them look guilty. It looks strategic if somebody's not changing their status from divorce to in a relationship or whatever. But man, I paid zero attention to social media, and maybe that's because I absolutely have trust in my partner, my wife. If you have one of those relationships where there's a bit of skepticism, then I can see how that would seem like a big deal. I'm not you. I don't know your relationship, but it would seem like if she's not changing her relationship status, then I understand why you would be a little bit worried about her reasoning. But just have a conversation with her about it. If she doesn't do it, if she refuses to change her status up or update her relationship status after you show her or you explain to her that you're taking an issue with it, then maybe you do have something to worry about, because it's really not nothing to fight over. It's not nothing to fight for. Like I said, it looks to just be Facebook, and I don't think Facebook is worth ruining your relationship unless you're chasing somebody else on Facebook. Um, Shout out, thank you so much for the 14.99 super chat, Christina S. No question, just love. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Man, that was beautiful. She got right into the love. I like that. Somebody said, the oh, okay. So somebody had a funeral. Sorry to hear that. Mm. Somebody said, found out a guy that I've been seeing a couple of months had his funeral today. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough news. Sorry to hear that. Somebody said, Sonora, I'm not going to beat your last name up. Shout out to you, Sonora. She said, how to respond when men complain that they cannot win us over because we are too confident, strong, and ambitious, etc. How to respond when men complain about them not being able to win you over. Um, I don't think if a man genuinely can't win you over. Wow, the camera's like really close to my face. I'm sorry about that. If a man genuinely can't win you over, then I'm not sure he's a person important enough to respond to anyway. Um, if you don't have any feelings for him, no romantic ambition for him, no plans for him romantically, it doesn't really matter how he takes the fact that he can't win you over. I think that, your target might be a much more powerful, much more ambitious, much more confident, much more strong man, man that's much more like you in the masculine form. So I don't think you should respond. Just don't. It's not even worth your time. Excuse me. Gesundheit, all of that. I couldn't stop that one. I hate trying to fight a sneeze. Anyway, yeah, I don't think you should worry about, for lack of a better term, lesser men being upset that they can't win you over or complaining about it. It's not your problem. Voxy Likes. Voxy Likes, that's a cool name. She said, hey, Kev. Thank you for the $5 super chat, by the way. She said, hey, Kev, happily married, but I always like hearing what you have to say. My husband and I love your work. Keep being you. Man, shout out to you and shout out to your husband. I love when I hear about these good men who represent and who actually get into the conversations. A lot of people who watch me with their significant others, and it's amazing when people write me. They talk about how they watch my lives with their husband, and it causes a discussion in their home, and it brings up these ideas that they can bounce off each other, and they get to know each other deeper by just bearing witness to one of these conversations and then having it in their home. And that's all a lot of this is starting an important conversation. And most people who come to me are single. Most of the people who watch me are single, but the benefit that this has for couples is huge when people are starting to have these conversations that might otherwise be uncomfortable. When you get a way or an excuse to have a conversation that might otherwise be uncomfortable, it can really help your relationship and really help bring the closeness back together. So shout out to you and your husband, and thank you for the super chat. Let me see. Somebody said just wanted to say hello. Townie, hello. She said this is my first ever live on time. Oh, you made it. Look at you. Look at God. Greetings from California, Bethany. What's going on? What's going on? Hey, love from Detroit. Hi, Detroit. Hi, Rhoda Warren. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. She gave me a $2 super chat. YouTube doesn't think I care about $2 super chats, but I do. I appreciate anybody who goes out of their way to give me love. So shout out to you. Let me see. Somebody. What's going on, Miss Charles? How you doing? I ain't talked to Miss Charles in a minute, but you know how to get to me. Instagram, of course. You always a supporter. Anytime you need something, Miss Charles, let me know. I will always be available because you've always supported, even when you didn't have to, even when it wasn't much to support. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, somebody's just said, a guy I'm seeing just told me a girl at Starbucks is coming on to him. I asked him if I should be worried. Should I be worried or should I worry? I think if the gentleman is expressing to you that a woman is coming on to him, then maybe not. I don't think transparency is the mark of a swindler, right? Some men feign transparency and feign, genuine expression, but at the same time, they have ulterior motives. But I think if he's telling on himself and he's telling on the woman and he's telling where and how, he encounters this woman, he may just be trying to prevent it. He may just be putting himself in a position where he's being watched and he's being held responsible for just appropriate conduct. So I think that's a good sign that he's going out of his way to make it known that somebody he encounters every day or quite often is coming on to him, just so you know what's going on. I don't think that's something to worry about. It could be something to worry about if she's fine and if she's tempting, but I think that his attempt to let you know and be transparent about it is a step in the right direction, and it shows he doesn't plan on making anything of it. Somebody says, if your boyfriend doesn't call you back after 3 days, if your boyfriend doesn't call you back after 3 days after breaking up, does that mean he doesn't care? When he was in the wrong, I'm really depressed. I really like him. Well, unfortunately, if your boyfriend breaks up with you and he doesn't call you in 3 days, it probably means he's okay with his decision. I think usually worry sets in after the first day, and A little bit of grief sets in after the second day with a lot more worry. If a guy ain't called you in 3 days, and now it looks like the end of the third day, because we're talking pretty late right now. It's 10:55 Eastern Standard Time. Wherever you at is probably evening too. So it looks like you're going into day 4, and the person ain't talked to you. It might be a minute before you hear from them. I don't think that you should be chasing the person who can't admit when they're wrong. Not that what you say is, the absolute, truth of the conversation or the matter or the disagreement that y'all had. I think there's always two sides to every story. But if what you say is true and it was absolutely his fault and he won't admit he's wrong and he decided to break up with you instead of admitting he was wrong, then yes, he probably has made peace with the fact that he may lose you or some other man may step in. And you have to make peace with the fact that he's made peace with that. Yeah, you can really like a guy, but if you're toxic together and if you're not compatible in emotional ways and in energetic ways, it's not worth saving or salvaging because it just leads to more toxicity in a longer term relationship. At least you really liked him instead of really loved him. I would much prefer a woman be disappointed by a person that she liked than broken and just destroyed and devastated over a person that she loved. So if you got out early, you probably dodged a bullet. Shout out Britt. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Again, YouTube doesn't think I need to see that at the top, but I think I do. So I really appreciate you. And my wife always makes sure she sends me anybody who shows me love monetarily because you don't have to. I'm answering all the questions for free, but anybody who does want to give, we always appreciate it. Anyway, she said, "Love your message. When does the book come out?" That's a good. That's actually a good question. The shorter version of my book, I just got the editing. I just got the first edit, the first complete edit back. It was emailed to me maybe 4 days ago. And so once I read over the edit, which I should do in the next couple of days, we'll send that back. And I don't suspect that I'll have to do a second edit. This editor that I have is an amazing young woman, and she knows exactly what I wanted, and she knows what I'm doing. And she kept the words mine. All I really needed was, somebody who is, the best grammar hammer in the world, making sure that there were no typos of any sort, but I love my words. People want to hear my words. And so she understood that. And she did a really good job, just keeping it basic and keeping it simple. But I got my first edit, direct back about 4 days ago. So the book should be coming out, at least the shorter version of the book should be coming out very soon. We're testing a concept. And so if this concept does well, then I'll release the bigger, more novel-like version to the book. So this is an experimental concept, but I think that it can be very, very valuable for women who need to know about relationships, especially as it pertains to how they function in them. Winnie Glenn, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. She said, "I've been trying to meet good men, but I'm still hurting over a toxic guy. Is it a good idea to start dating right away?" I suppose that depends. Listen, some people hurt for years. It's some people 10 years out of a relationship and have never gotten over the person that they left or the person that left them. Would I tell that person to wait 10 more years until they don't feel anything? No, absolutely not. You have to move on. Life goes on. The show must go on. So no, I don't suggest that because you're still hurting or because you're still affected or you still have feelings for someone that you don't move on. But I also need you to be whole and complete. So there's a difference. There's a difference between being whole and complete and still having some residual feelings about a person. Those are two different concepts. You can still love a person and not be broken over them and not come to a new relationship from a broken place. That depends. You say you're still hurting over a toxic guy. So I'm not sure to what degree you're still hurting and how fresh that is. So that would depend very heavily on how fresh that is and what you consider hurt, right? Hurt can be disappointed that happened. Hurt can be, fatigued at relationships, having always, end badly. Hurt can be just, mad at yourself for letting certain things happen. Hurt can mean a lot of things. So I'm not really sure where you're coming from, but if you're saying that you are still very much immersed in the emotions that you developed for that guy, and he was toxic, is it a good idea to start dating right away? Meaning that it's ended, very 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 recently. Then no, I think that you should give yourself a few months, sit down on it. I think that you should meet new guys and be friends with new guys, but I don't think that you can commit yourself until you get to a clear place emotionally. Um, Obviously, I would suggest you, digging into new hobbies, learning some new ideas, educating yourself on new concepts, just growing yourself as a person, digging into your passions, doing some passion projects, anything that gets you back to being grounded in who you are instead of who you might have been in that relationship. Too many people lose themselves in a relationship, and then when that relationship fails them, they don't know how to be them. They don't know what them is. They don't know what it presents, right? So, get back to knowing exactly who you are and what you do, and what your day-to-day life is going to be like, what your habits are going to be, what your routines are going to be. Consistently you, right? Get back to being that before you try to add a new man into it. Because if you haven't gotten away from your identity in a relationship, then you can't start a new identity in another relationship. You always have to know who you are before you start a relationship, so that you're not taken away by a new energy when you meet a new man. But that's a whole nother concept. Maybe I'll do a video on just that, because I think that's a huge thing, and it's a lot to discuss here. But broken down properly, I think a lot of people could really benefit from that topic. So uh, maybe I'll do a video on that. Thank you so much for your super chat. Fly Girl, thank you so much. 9.99 super chat. She said, "Hi Kev, greetings from California. Love your videos. I'm 56 and my crush is 35. Am I too old for him? Thoughts?" It depends on what he thinks. Um, you're not too old if he doesn't mind older women, but you're too old if he doesn't like older women, and it's as simple as that. You didn't give me much information on him, but I've known a lot of women, and a lot of my clients, as many of you know, people consult with me on the phone, and some people do do a long term relationship with me, so that I can be there when they find themselves in these situations. And so a lot of my clients have these types of situations happen, but the age is a little bit closer in most cases. Even so, when a young man is committed to the idea of dating a woman, no matter what her age is, as long as he's a mature guy, I've seen those situations work out. I've seen a 35-year-old marry a 35 marry a 55-year-old, and was dead serious, and they had a happy relationship. I think they're still together. Like it doesn't always matter, but it does matter in this case, because we don't know what he thinks. We don't know what his conduct is, how he treats you, how he is around you, what he wants. I don't think I don't think that that age gap is too much for a sexual relationship, especially if he again is into older women. But sometimes the age gap can be a lot for a long-term relationship, because you're dealing with two very different life experiences. To the depth and the density of your experiences are vastly different. And a lot of times, while he might be your crush, because he's very attractive and he does have a mind that you would gravitate toward, in time you learn that you don't have as much in common, because he just hasn't experienced enough to give you something that you can really hold on to. You always be in a mom mode or a teacher mode, and that dynamic can take you out of it. So yes and no, it matters. I hope that answers your question, but it's a bit complicated. Miss Ruth Leah, I'm not even gonna beat that up. Thank you so much for your super chat. She said, "If a man is scared to commit, then why would he just ghost me out of nowhere? If a man is scared to commit, why would he just ghost me out of nowhere? I want to believe he still cares, but it's been 2 weeks." If a man's ghosted you after 2 weeks and you haven't talked to him, he might still care, but I think guilt will be a bigger emotion for him at the moment. If he ghosted you, it's because he thought about that for a while, and he couldn't bear the fact that he may have to stick around to fulfill some of the promises, or some of the ideas that he presented to you, and kind of got your head wrapped around him. I'm hoping his motivation wasn't just sex, but a lot of times guys, they feed you whatever it takes to get in your pants. I'm not assuming that's what happened here. I'm not sure if he ghosted you after intimacy. I'm not sure if he ghosted you after an argument. I really don't know the context of the relationship or the ending of it. But I do know that a lot of people ghost because it's kind of a coward move. People are conflict avoidant. The majority of people are. So a lot of people say, well, why don't he just be real? Keep it real. But most people don't keep it real. That's not how things work. Most people avoid conflict by any means necessary. Um, with that said, if a guy's ghosted you after 2 weeks, um, I wouldn't think anything outside of it's over with, and I'll probably never speak to him again. I don't worry, don't wonder if he still cares. He doesn't care enough to give you enough. He doesn't care enough to respect you. He doesn't care enough to say goodbye. He doesn't care enough to let you know what was wrong or make clear some of his original intentions or apologize for the damage he's causing. If he doesn't care enough of that, then the hell with him. Fuck him. So don't worry about so much if he still cares, because that really is inconsequential. He's been very damaging to you, and he can only do more damage if you linger in his presence or try to hold him when he doesn't want to be held, or try to keep him around. You can't chain him up like a dog. Like if the man doesn't want the same things you want, you might be able to make him stick around a little bit or linger for some sex, but you really can't capture a man's heart if his heart's not for grabs, if it's not available to you. So don't worry so much about if he still cares. Forget about him. Fuck him. Janelli, what's going on with you? Thank you so much for your super chat. She said, 8 months I've been exclusive with the guy dating, and we do everything like a couple. How long is too long to wait for the title? He says he is not ready. 8 months you've been exclusive with the guy, and y'all been doing everything like a couple. Okay, Janelli, listen, the problem with you being in a exclusive relationship with the guy and you're doing everything like a couple, is the fact that he doesn't have an incentive for becoming giving you a title. Y'all already exclusive, and I'm almost positive you're exclusive. Why is he going to be exclusive but not give you a title? What is his purpose? Like, what is his reasoning? I've heard a lot of guys, guys give women all kind of bullshit about why they can't just call a woman. And it's not like girlfriend is the most prestigious thing you can make a woman, right? You're supposed to try to make a woman an honest woman, make her your wife. Or some kind of life partner situation where y'all understand that y'all gonna be together. But if you've been with a man 8 months and y'all been playing house, y'all been cooking, cleaning, and spending all this time together, and he still won't make you his woman, he has commitment issues. And if he has commitment issues, you could be waiting forever. I've known men who wait 16 years to marry the girl that they've been dating for their whole lives, right? I literally know people who never got married and who always had your engagement ring is so old that the golden wore down and the diamonds are foggy. Like, people will wait forever. Don't be one of those people. Do your best to try to figure out what his reasoning really is, because I don't think after 8 months he has anything else to learn about you. I think that he's just decided he's going to ride this whole not couple thing out as long as possible, and that's a bit frustrating, I know, to you, and it worries me because I don't see a lot of guys retroactively or after that long a time committing to women. I feel like women usually push the commitment after they run out of patience, and once they run out of patience, that guy's just like, well, I can't give you what you want, so we might as well stop. Like, most guys after that long would much rather stop than continue from a committed place with a title. And that's a sad thing that happens when women wait too long, but it's the fact. So you need to really get to the bottom of that. But to answer your question, how long is too long? It's too damn long when you're asking somebody like me if you've been waiting too long, right? It's been too damn long. Especially if it doesn't give you peace and you're trying to figure it out. It's disturbing your energy. You're feeling insecure about your place in his life. Yeah, it's too long. A man who's laying you down, having sex with you, experiencing everything you have to offer for 8 months in a row, should be sure that he wants you. If he's not sure by that time, then you're already coming out of the honeymoon phase. I mean, damn. You didn't even get the commitment within the honeymoon phase. people start dropping down after 8 months. People start to really calm down and settle in their relationships. And yes, the honeymoon phase can last, well into, year one, even year two. But the average couple, man, after 8 months, everybody's comfortable and everybody's just vibing out and really deciding on their futures together. So if he ain't figured that shit out after 8 months, then I'm not sure you're the one. But again, I don't want to discourage you. Just get to the bottom of that and figure out when his timeline is slated for, because he might not have what you need in the timeline that you needed. And what you want matters too. Too many women let a guy determine the timeline for their commitment. And it's always like they're tiptoeing around his sensibilities. They're tiptoeing around what makes him comfortable. And all these guys, all of a sudden, these mighty men are all of a sudden pansies and like all fragile when it comes to a woman trying to have a conversation about a commitment. But you've been hitting it every night for 8 weeks or 8 months. But now you fragile. Now you don't know how to have these conversations. Now it's too much for you. Too much too soon. We're moving too fast. But you wasn't saying that when y'all was playing house, when she's been cooking for you every day, cleaning for you every day, giving you money, putting gas in your car, doing all this stuff. A lot of guys are users. And so, I'm not accusing your man of being a user. I'm just saying, don't be waiting forever. If it matters to you, you need to get to the bottom of that. Jessica Elaine, thank you so much for the $6 super chat. And I'm going to get to the other super chat in a minute, but this one about to disappear. It's just $6. She said, a man has strung me along for 7 years. We have a 4-year-old daughter. Found out this past Monday he's been cheating on me with different women. I'm not the best with acronyms. I don't know what that means. In an ex in all these years. Why? Well, because he's probably a compulsive liar and he's made peace with being a liar. You've been together with a man who strung you along. Wait a minute. Strung you along. I'm wondering if you're saying he's strung you along as in he gave you just enough for you to think you were his, because it doesn't sound like I'm not sure if y'all in a relationship together. And so my thing is, if y'all were in a relationship together, I guess it doesn't matter. Oh, including. Yeah, I suck with these with abbreviations. My wife texted me the abbreviation for INCL. So I don't think that I don't think that it really matters if you were together or not, if you thought you were the woman in his life, if you made it seem like you were the woman in his life, or if you had a title and you've been with him for seven years and you had a baby by him and he's doing what he wants to do on the side. I think that he also has commitment issues, but I think you just finding out that he doesn't have the character that you thought he had. And one would assume, or one would hope, that before 7 years you would discover something like that. I'm wondering if he wasn't paying enough attention. I don't even think it's possible for a guy to really hide that for that long. I mean, he got way too many women running around here. It's way too sloppy. You saying multiple people, and he's saying and an ex all these years. That means he has women keeping secrets. He's moving around. He's in different places than he's telling you he is. Eventually, one would hope that you'd be paying enough attention that you'd see some inconsistencies in his day-to-day stories. Sometimes you can give a man too much freedom, and or you can give a woman too much freedom. It really depends. But if you have a liar, if you laying down with a liar every day, and they have a lot of inconsistencies in their day-to-day stories, or they don't share information so that they don't have to lie, so that they don't have to remember their lies. When you get with somebody who seems to be mum on a lot of the details, it's usually because they're hiding something. I can't tell you why. I guess because he's not shit, because he's not the man you thought he was, because he's not a man of a character or integrity. I suppose whatever qualities you thought you seen in him, you didn't. So you should probably vet a man a lot better next time around. But you gave him 7 years of your life, and that's a lot of years to give to a swindler. And I'm sorry to hear about that, but just next time around, please make a better decision, because I feel like that might have been more avoidable. If you're talking about moms, maybe you need a consultation, or you need to talk to me about that, because I feel like there's some details missing, and I could probably help you out if I knew a little bit more about the situation. Luxurious interior designs, luxurious interior designs. If you got a business, I hope you got a business. Luxurious interior designs. Thank you. I had to get the shorter one out the way because it was going to disappear. And thank you for your super chat. She said, "Hey, I love what you do, and I have a question. I've been with my husband 13 years married, 8 years. Things are not like they were." So she's been with him for 13 years. I'm assuming the first 5 years were great. The last 8 years seem to be down slopey. She said things are not like they were. How can I know? How can I know he wants it to end, but saying differently? I still love him, but if he is done, I can be too. Um, I think that you guys just need to have a conversation or consider going to one couples counseling session. Sometimes that's all it takes. You know, I know couples counseling can be very expensive, man, but if you can get if sometimes just one session will bring up enough crap that where, you know, you don't even have to do another session. You just have to figure out exactly, you know, where each other stands on trying. And I think the the intent to try is going to be the most indicative detail as far as if you can be done or not, or if he's done, if he's if he's willing to try and he's willing to work and you are too, then no, you're not done, because that effort tells me that, you know, what you're not saying is, you know, maybe you don't want this to end. And so, you know, that effort would tell you everything you need. If he's willing to go to counseling, that's a good sign. But I think that you guys have to have a conversation. And if you're not communicating, then you need to get someone who can help communicate your ideas in a more abstract, less direct way. Because two people who've been in the house for 13 years, they don't always talk to each other the nicest way. And, you know, they don't always say what they mean to say. Um, and so much gets lost in the translation out of just pure frustration. If somebody's been with you for 13 years and they've been tired of the same behavior or the same habit for 13 years, it's very difficult to wrap your head around trying to tell them nicely, you know, why you can't deal with a particular behavior anymore. And so I would hope that you guys would really try to seek, if y'all been together for 13 years, that's a lot of time to let go. But if there's toxicity, you still need to deal with that. If there's trauma, you still need to deal with that. So I would really suggest, even if you just pay for one session, I would try to get into either a couples mediation, if you can find that in your city, or a relationship counseling session with one person, just to figure out where you are. I think one of my dreams is to do a couples mediation. I don't meet a lot of couples, but I would love to do couples mediation in my city and just open up a couples mediation business, because sometimes people don't necessarily need therapy, but they just need to figure out how to communicate in a more healthy way with each other. And you know, I love helping people bridge that gap. But try to find some counseling, because I feel like there's so much not being said, and you don't even know enough about what he wants, you know, to express it to me. So I know there's just so much. There's just so much. Okay, yeah, I got you. The second part of super chat. There's a lot that needs to be said, and I hope that you guys can get that out before you decide to end it. But hell, if you gotta go, you gotta go. What you can do is write me on Instagram, inbox me on Instagram at Kev Hick 24, and give me, kind of tell me a little bit more, and I can work with you there, because I don't know exactly what's going on, and I need a little bit more detail. But I appreciate your super chat. Luxurious interior designs. Oh, okay. Look, the second part of the super chat. Okay, you didn't have to do that. I appreciate you though, love. She said, we have done counseling. We have done every counseling there is, and I have nothing more to give. He seems like he doesn't even try. Okay, well, listen, if he seems like he doesn't even try, that's how you know. To answer your question, that's how you know. If there's no effort and you've already gone to counseling, you've already had people share or translate your feelings to each other. You've already had people do every type of exercise to pull out the greatest feelings that you have for each other, the best feelings that you have, the best will that you have for each other. If for whatever reason that hasn't worked, then man, you can hang your hat on a strong effort. you have really done what you could do. And sometimes you just got to throw in the towel. If you've done all you can do, then that's all you can do. Um, of course, divorce is one of those things where no one ever wants to suggest divorce. But what I can't suggest is that you continue living a toxic life that makes you unhappy, that makes you insecure, about where you stand in this home, in this life. I can't suggest that you live the rest of your life, unhappy, lacking joy, lacking fervor, lacking excitement and eagerness to start your next day. I don't know how broken you are about this or how not broken. Maybe you're just not concerned anymore. Maybe it's been so many years of blah that you feel blah about it. And unfortunately, that would be the best scenario for you, just because you can move on a lot quicker with a lot less baggage, having made peace with the fact that this relationship may have failed. Um, but again, if he doesn't try, you can't be in a relationship by yourself. You can't be in a marriage by yourself. You can't go to counseling by yourself. You can't make improvements to the relationship by yourself. And I don't think it's worth you going and attempting it by yourself. I just don't think it's your responsibility solely to maintain your relationship. So with that said, you might be. I think he's done. I think it may be time for you to be done too. Um, I would, if it was my mom, or if it was my cousin, or if it was anybody I loved and I knew, I'd probably be like, hey man, fuck that dude. But I don't know enough about your situation to say that, but you do. You absolutely do. You know if it's time to go. And so don't fight that, man. Just do what gives you peace. Nikki B, what's going on, Nikki B? Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. She said, "How do I move on from someone I have to work with? Ooh, especially when he continues to pursue. We were close initially, no sex. I've pulled way back because he's been unclear about his relationship status." Let me make sure my ringer's up because I have not been hearing. Okay. She said, he's been unclear about his relationship status. If a man's unclear about his relationship status, it should be very clear of what his relationship status is. Men aren't generally unclear about anything that they don't care, or that they aren't hiding. Ambiguity is the mask of bad news, right? So when people have bad news, they might not want to confess the bad news, and so they just remain ambiguous about the answers to your questions. They remain elusive or mysterious. And I think if he's unclear, that means he has a relationship, and that's why he's been unclear. And I don't think it's that damn complicated. Men always present an idea that their relationship is on the fritz, or we're on our way out. I ain't been happy for some time, and all of this stuff. And then when the women get with him and they start having sex with him and trying to act like the other woman, thinking that she's next in line, all of a sudden he like, oh yeah, I'm gonna break up with her. I'm gonna do it. When you gonna do it? Oh, I'm gonna do it. And 3 or 4 months later, after being the other woman, he's still going home to this woman, making love to her, coming in to work, sneaking in the closets and making love to you, or making sex, or I don't know what you would call that. It's despicable, really, when you agree to be the other woman. No shade, but it's despicable, because all the women that be in this comment section be talking that men ain't this, men ain't that. All men do is cheat, and it's always a willing woman keeping her mouth shut with her damn lips zipped up tight, with a smile in her heart, because she knows she's stealing somebody else's man. So yeah, y'all are as despicable sometimes. Not you, Nikki B, but just women. Women can be as despicable as as some of these despicable men. So like I said, people are it's a people thing. It's not a man thing. Man ain't shit, woman ain't shit. It's just a people thing. Some people just ain't shit. With that said, you said, how do you move on with someone? Look, I done got way off subject of your question. I'm so sorry, Nikki B. Apologize. She said, how do I move on from someone that I have to work with, especially when he continues to pursue? Um, Unfortunately, at work, there are not a lot of options that endanger his job. Maybe you have a conversation with him, just let him know, hey, I'm no longer interested, and if you keep pursuing me, maybe I have to, tell the proper authorities that I feel uncomfortable working around you. I don't want to do that, so just back up, let me do my thing, let me have my peace. But I don't feel like you're committed enough to to never speaking to him again in a romantic sense to do that. You wouldn't want to get him in trouble because you would hope that he just becomes more clear about his relationship, so you wouldn't have to pull back. I feel like that's what you would want in your heart, and unfortunately, that hope is going to get you hurt before it gets you helped. Um, a lot of women don't like. There's a red button you can push and really get him to leave you alone at work. All right, if he thinks you endanger his job, he'll stop. But you wouldn't want to push that red button because you hope for something a little bit better than what you've been getting. Um, and so, no, I don't. You said, how do I move on from someone I have to work with? You have to commit to move on. I don't think you're fully committed to moving on. Um, and so, because you wouldn't use the word move on, you'd be done moved on. How do I stop this guy from harassing me at my job? It would be the question, not how do I move on. So you're still involved, or you're still, invested mentally and emotionally, and you need to create some space and distance. And so, it might seem childish, but you might just have to put him on silent treatment, and for forever though. Not like, oh, I'm not gonna talk to you for 2 weeks until you start acting right. Just like, the hell what you do, I'm done. And just never talk to him again unless you have to work, unless it's about work. But I don't see a lot of women with that type of willpower and strength, especially when dealing with guys they have, a hope of a relationship with. Generally speaking, when women start dealing with guys at work and they start falling for dudes that are like this, they ultimately end up in situations where they are the other woman. They're getting banged at work and they're getting banged at home. They're at the hotel. They're fulfilling their role as a bed warmer, and ultimately it just leads to them being very ashamed of their actions. And for some time they keep it up until they realize that they'll never have him. So I'm hoping that you understand very clearly that this man might be a very toxic decision for you. And if you just decide to never talk to him again, it really doesn't matter if you work with him. You can want him in your heart and still not show him that. Um, but I don't know. You might have to switch workstations. Sorry, you might have to switch workstations. You might have to switch, locations. You might have to switch sections in your. I don't know how your work is set up, but I don't think that you can maintain the same amount of access to him. He should have the same amount of access to you, because there's people that work at your job that you never talk to. There's people working at your job that you're not close with. He needs to be one of those people. So I hope that helps, but sounds like you're in trouble if you don't commit to moving on. Let's go dig into this. Make sure I ain't get. I don't know why my phone ain't. Okay, cool. Maybe it's just because I'm not getting no texts. Everything good. Let's see. It's one of your brother. Okay, I'm gonna go to the bottom. All right. Somebody said. Shit. Okay, so the comments are jumping around. I'm trying to find somebody. Somebody said, Kev, can you answer this? My crush got rejected. This is the second day of rejection. My crush got rejected. This is second day of rejection. When do I step in to win him over? Oh, okay. So your crush is chasing somebody else, and he's been rejected maybe twice or 2 days in a row. Nothing came of his crush, and you're saying, when do you step in to win him over? Please answer. Thank you so much. Look, I guessed the acronym. Look at that. I hardly ever can do that. Thank you so much for these videos. Please answer. Okay, Roswell escapes. I'm answering your question. I said, my crush got rejected. This is the second day in a row, or a second day of his rejection. When do I step in to win him over? I think you just present yourself as an ally, as a friend, and you flirt a little bit. He has to see you as a sexual being. A lot of times women will step in and try to impress a guy, but they will do so in such a formal manner, such a casual manner, that they feel more business casual than romantic. And so a man needs to see you as a sexual being, no matter how much respect you have for yourself. A guy needs to see your sex value. And I'm not saying he needs to see your boobs or breasts or skin. I'm just saying he needs to understand that there's sexual energy that lives in you, so he can see you in that way. So anyway, I guess there's no real perfect time to step in and win him over. I'm sure like he's your crush, right? There's almost nothing anybody can do to distract you from him at the moment. And you have to understand that if he has a crush on another girl, there's almost nothing that anybody can do to distract him away from her for the moment. Well, I remember when I had a crush on a girl, in high school. If I realized that I had zero chance with her, just because I'm a very prideful person, and I don't want to ever feel too great about somebody who doesn't feel great enough about me, because I think I'm great and I like me a lot. If somebody wasn't at the time, I would say if a woman wasn't smart enough to like me, then I wouldn't allow myself to give her like any mental time. I would just refuse to think about her. I would literally erase my crush like a pencil mark. I just would do that. I had that talent. I can really turn somebody off like they never existed. My fallback game is so amazing. And I think that if you have a good fallback game, you can really, if he has a good fallback game, it won't be long. He'll just be like, oh, okay, no chance over there. Cool. Let me figure out what else is out here. But again, if he's just one of those guys that's gushing over this girl, there's no real perfect way to step in. But you can present yourself as an ally and get close to him and be flirtatious with him. But don't put yourself in a friend zone by just by being just a friend. You have to work on the sexual energy and the sexual chemistry and the romantic chemistry. So it has to be a more flirtatious type of relationship than you trying to be his best friend and ending up in the friend zone. I hope that helps. But again, if you have a problem with with the friend zone thing, I think even because even if you're not in the friend zone yet, which you're not, you probably should watch my video on getting out of the friend zone, because you're likely to go into the friend zone if you approach this the wrong way. But you step in right away. Wait for what? He'll probably be dating somebody. I don't know where you at or how old you are, but guys normally don't wait around to mope in front of a girl that rejected them for too long. So he's gonna be looking for a rebound or somebody to erase the taste of defeat out of his mouth. And maybe you can be that person, but just don't get used in the wrong way. Putting yourself in a line of fire for being used, trying to impress him. And you can't buy him with no ass, so please don't try that either. Make him want you for you. Anyway. As the other woman before, definitely. Somebody said, okay, so Denise D makes a comment about, I think, something I was speaking about earlier. Denise D, thank you for this comment. I haven't read it yet. I hope you don't shit on me in this comment, because a lot of people be doing that, but I'm going to give it to you. She said, I was the other woman before. I definitely had low self-esteem, and being able to take someone's man made me feel better at the moment, but now I am ashamed of it, and I will never contribute to someone else's pain again. See, thank you so much for sharing that, Denise. Like I said, people normally don't share the worst parts of themselves or the things that they're not proud of, right? Everybody has this mask of perfection on, and I appreciate Denise D for taking that off for a minute and just letting people know that she's been that, and she had that same idea that, oh my God, I took somebody's man. Yeah, I'm better than them. And then, ultimately it don't lead to nowhere. It just leads to shame, personal shame, karmatic shame. Like, karma's coming, man. And, you don't want to be on the other side of that. You don't want to deserve it if a man cheats on you. You want it to really be something that shouldn't have came to you, because you always get vindicated in the long run if you're not a guilty party. That's just how I feel about it. Somebody says, so if you share answers, but not the same personal. Oh yeah, shout out, Nene. She said, girltalkwithguys.com. Okay, yeah, I should probably tell y'all that. A lot of y'all are probably gonna write me after this, or it's gonna be in the comment section somewhere. How do I get in touch with you? How do I speak to you? How do I get an email advice? How do I talk to you on the phone? If you want to talk to me on the phone or you want to email me, you must go to www.girltalkwithguys.com. That's my blog. That's where you can look at my schedule, talk to me on the phone if you want to set up a consultation, or you can shoot me long form emails. If you just have a really short, very brief question, you can send it to my Instagram DMs, and I'll get it eventually. But my Instagram is always thick because people know that they can reach me for free on Instagram. If you have something that is a little bit more pressing, and you need to get with me within 1 to 3 days, you probably want to send that through girltalkwithguys.com. And if you want to talk to me on the phone again, girltalkwithguys.com. I do hour-long consultations. I do 90-minute consultations. I do 2-hour consultations. Whatever people normally need is what I give them. I'm getting into life coaching as well. So, I do a little bit of everything. But just for people who, for whatever reason, have come to trust my opinion, trust my ideas, those people can reach me through girltalkwithguys.com. Let me dig into this. Janelli, are you back? She said, me again. Yeah, you again. Second question. Do you think there is a time frame to know if you're the one? Like a time frame to fall in love with someone? I don't know. I can only boy, yeah, it's getting there. I think I'm gonna get off of here at about 12:15. Because it's a work night for me. I gotta go to work in the morning. Yeah, I don't do this full time. This is my part-time gig. That's why I don't drop 4, 5, or 6 videos a week like some of these other YouTubers. They YouTubers. I'm a guy with a job and a family that does this on the side. And so until I make enough money doing stuff like this, that I can get rid of my pretty decent job, I'm not. So I'm looking to hopefully be able to leave my job within the next year. And so if y'all support me, if y'all share enough of my videos, maybe that happens. Anyway, she said, like a time frame to fall in love with somebody. Is there a way to know, is there a time frame to know if you're the one, or a time frame to know to fall in love? I think that in my experience, 3 months is about the time that, me or a lot of guys start falling in love. I think 3 months is a solid point. Some people will think they love a person after 1 month if they spent 30 days in a row with them. I guess it just depends on your access to a person and how much time you spend in the person's presence. People got to think, like, a lot of people text message, and man, it takes so much text messaging to get like one conversation out, that you can be texting for 6 months and not have had a month's worth of conversations, or a month's worth of interactions with the person. So it takes, depending on how you're encountering each other, it takes a lot longer or a lot shorter time. For instance, if you're with a man every day, after a month, you can love a guy. You can be in love after 1 month if you spend it every day with a person. But if you only see them once every now and then, and you're talking, you're only texting them, y'all not talking, then I don't know. I think you can have an attachment to them, but you really don't fall in love with a person until they become a part of your emotional, like, foundation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like some people are in love when they think they're in love. I think they're in like. And a lot of people don't know the difference. And so being infatuated and being in love are two different things. But I believe you're the one that, and I don't know, maybe I'm confusing questions right now, but I feel like you said something about being with a guy for 8 months. In 8 months, somebody should know if they're in love. I don't think anybody is confused about how they feel about somebody after 8 months. So, I think 3 months is solid. 1 to 3 months is solid if you're falling in love, as long as you're seeing each other a lot. The more you see each other, the quicker that happens. But there's no time frame for you to know if you're the one for somebody else. You will never know if you're the one for somebody else, but you should know if somebody is the one at some point. But I don't think you should ever put a time frame on that, because as people grow and mature and evolve, somebody who wasn't the one can become the one. You grow into different people. Like, I'm not the same Kevin I was 11 years ago. I'm at my core, I'm the same person. My nature is the same, but I'm not the same person. Oh, that's a good question. My moderator just sent me that. My cousin just sent me that. I'm gonna get that in a minute. Thank you, Nene. But like, so yeah, like you said, is there a time frame? Two people who've been together 15 years have seen 3 different people during that relationship apiece, because you really evolve. And so depending on which space and time you meet somebody in their life, that would be very, 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 very important to, if they could look like the one at one point versus another. People have maturing to do. They have, cycles of maturation that they go through, cycles of growth, phases of, of a construction, of deconstruction, of building. So it just depends on where you see somebody at the snapshot in time that you meet somebody when you're dating them. So no, I wouldn't really put a specific time frame to know if someone's the one, and you will never know if you're the one for someone else. That's just not a possibility because most people are not really sure about it. And I think the one is a concept that people got from Hollywood, not from real life. I don't think there is just one. I think that there are 7 billion people in the world. There are maybe 15 for each person. Compatibility is not that damn difficult to achieve. So out of 7 billion people, yeah, I hope you find one of the 15 people that you could be compatible with and really fall in love with. There are a lot of good people in the world. So to pretend that only 1 in 7 billion would work for you is kind of asinine when you think about it. Even if you're talking about kindred spirits or anything like that, there are so many people in the world. You'll meet spirits that you agree with and spirits you don't. So again, no, there's no time frame, but you should know when you love a person, and 1 to 3 months is pretty appropriate. I got an interesting question. I don't know why, but somebody said, is a guy that did, Felicia Sims said, is a guy that did 18 years in prison worth a chance? I'm 25, he's 44. Probably not. Probably not. I mean, damn. What is the purpose? What are we doing here? No. What can a man who did 18 years in prison provide for a woman who's 25 with her life in front of her? Just logistically, what type of work can he do? Unless he's doing real estate and he's found a way to go legal, and he can provide a stable future for her that doesn't involve the police being called or running from the police or doing more illegal things that will end him back in prison. Provided he's actually a changed man and he's not institutionalized. Even in that regard, if he's not institutionalized and he's like a guy, what kind of decisions does he make now that he wouldn't have made 18 years ago? How has he grown? Like we can hope that he's grown, we can wish that he's grown, but we don't know that he's grown, and you would know before I would. So I'm not assuming he hasn't grown, but I mean, just looking at it, you're 25 with your life in front of you, he's 44, right in the middle of some mess, the mess that he's made. Unless and then it's very telling that the only detail you gave of him was that he's been in prison. That means there's really no other highlights. It's not like you said, what can a man that's been in prison for 18 years and owns some businesses and has reestablished himself do for me? It's he's just saying he's been in prison and he's 44. I wish something else stood out to you to describe him, and maybe it does. So I'm not shitting on him. I'm just saying that I would never suggest that a woman 25 get with a retired criminal, hopefully retired criminal. And like, look, I'm not completely opposed to some forms of crime, right? I'm not like I'm from the projects. I'm okay with a lot of things. I can adjust to a lot of things, but what does he have to offer you? Because is it maturity? Like, I would almost take a more immature guy who can live a legal life and save those 18 years of his life and not need Viagra or Cialis in the next 5 or 10 years. I don't know. I'm not a big supporter of young women dating much older guys simply because they're older. And a lot of times that's the thing, is that women be into older guys because they're thinking, oh, he's more mature. And a lot of times they're not. And if he's been in prison, I'm not sure how much maturing he's done. And I can't say he is or isn't mature, but I can say that he was dumb enough to do some shit to get 18 years in prison at some point. And I'm not sure how much you can grow outside of what the system would allow you to at this point, because they won't give you a job if you've done 18 years in prison until you've gotten about 10 years or 8 years of separation from your crime. You have to be what they consider reformed. So you can't get, even if you went to a place where they hire felons, they usually don't hire felons fresh out. They hire felons after they've had some years away from their life of crime and their prison time. So if he's 44 and did 18 years of prison, is he eligible to work when he's 50? Like, I don't know. Maybe your state is different than my state. But no, I ain't really feeling it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, and I'm sure I could, find some mature way to look on the bright side, but I'm just not into that. I'm sorry. He needs to figure something else out with a woman his age that can handle his shit. But him dragging you into a life of poverty because he can't get a good job is just ridiculous. Or a life of crime because he can't get a good job is ridiculous. What was I doing? Somebody said something. Oh, what's up? Life to be lived. Shout out, life to be lived. I just seen you. Always love. She always contributes to the conversation. She says, I organized for a meetup. Some nice men, but most too young. Still a few show some interest, but not on the same path because we're not in the same place in our lives. That's absolutely true. A younger person and a more mature person, just they're not going to have as much in common, and you almost have to disregard the differences to make that work sometimes. And so it's possible, and a lot of times it works. I've seen it work, but for the majority of people who couldn't even find, very easily a person, who has similar experiences that's compatible, it's very difficult to finagle somebody who's compatible and who's in a completely different space in life. It's like threading a needle. It's very possible. And, like I said, I always tell my clients, you don't need easy, you just need possible. But at the same time, it's not easy, and it's very, very difficult to do from time to time. And so I don't know. I feel your pain, life to be lived. But shout out to those young men who coming out and showing love. Maybe you need to pick your social media presence up. I think that if you organize a meetup and you're not getting the level of guy or the amount of guys, I just think that maybe you need to run a social media campaign, and really build some awareness, because I think that's a really cool event, and it can be pretty lucrative too. That's a pretty cool thing that you're doing. So shout out to you. I like those types of events. People always want to know if I'm gonna throw one myself, like a meetup or a hookup thing. And I was thinking about making a dating site where I could kind of critique and just manage the types of personalities and people that go on there in my own way. I won't give too many details, but maybe one day I'll do that. And so y'all see them. But shout out, life to be lived. I think that's a good idea. Let me see. We can get off here. All right. Somebody said, what do you consider a Mr. Right? I don't know if that question is for me, but I think a Mr. Right is just a man who wishes to do right. The bottom line, a guy who's moved and motivated by the will and the desire and the passion to do right. That's Mr. Right. If a man has that, everything else generally falls into place. If a man just has the will and the passion and the determination to do right and be right, everything else falls in place. If a man wants to be a great man, he generally will be a great man. If he wants it bad enough, if a man's willing to work to become a great man. So a Mr. Right is a man who understands a guy's purpose in a relationship, and his value to a family. Shout out. Hold on, I'm gonna get. Let me see. I want to. I don't want to say Tade, yeah, it might be Tade. Tade Onapede. Thank you so much for your 99-cent super chat. I appreciate it if YouTube don't. Shout out to you. Okay, she said, She said, "What's a good place to meet a good man in an organic setting outside of the nightlife?" Probably shopping. I think if you meet a man shopping, at least you know he might have some paper in his pocket. Uh, you can look at a man's the way he dresses, the way he carries himself, and kind of get a glimpse of how his general status. And you can probably be meeting a person in person in a setting like that when their guards down a little bit, and they haven't put their mask of perfection on outside of what they have on. I think that it can be really cool. I think shopping is one of the best ways to meet a guy. Grocery stores are the best ways to meet a guy. Sometimes church, but church is interesting because most people at church are trying to look the holiest they can possibly look, and you get a lot of characters or caricatures of people when they're at church. So that's not always the best place to meet a man. But organically, just out and about, not a nightlife thing. Just go out, be at a gas station, be at the grocery store, be at church, be at school, be at the bus stop. There are men everywhere. You just have to be willing to encounter them and be nice to them, be receptive to their smiles and their eye gazes. Keosha Keosha Lundy, shout out. She said, "Is it okay to help a guy you've been dating for 5 or 6 months financially if they got laid off, but they never helped you when you needed? Maybe he didn't have the money." I think that that's completely on you. I'm not one of those guys that say, "Oh my God, never give a man money," or I'm not one of those guys that say, "You should never take money from a woman." I don't have that, man. I think if y'all together and you can trust that person and they're good to you and you got it. I wouldn't make a habit out of it. There's still some pause that needs to be had clearly, but I don't know if you with that guy and and you're sure of who he is. See, that's the biggest thing. Like, you have to be sure of who a person is. If you're very sure of who a person is, then maybe. But why doesn't he have it? Like, why is he laid off? And why has he never helped you when you needed it? Like, those are questions that need to be answered before you give anything, because you can be an enabler. You can get yourself a bum and then be enabling him. And so, is he chronically in trauma, like in crisis? If a man's always in crisis, then no. If a man is always broke, then no. If a man always has some kind of financial problems, then no. Let that brother figure that out and get some backbone, get some paper under him, get some wind under him, get some desire, some passion, and some drive and some hustle. Let him do that first. Let him do that for himself. But in a stable relationship with two stable people who otherwise have much to offer each other, then yes, you are a partnership, and y'all should be helping each other however possible. But again, one person should not be like, especially a woman, should not be breadwinning for a man who's sitting on his ass while he could be getting out there and get some hustle. It's summertime right now in America. Ain't no way in the hell a man's supposed to be broke. You can get a lawnmower for $200 and go cut yards. Like, it ain't no way in the hell a man's supposed to be out here doing that bad in the summertime. Does he have a car? Like, trying to figure out why he ain't got it. Like I said, a man's supposed to have it. And so I feel like, maybe he needs to figure out where his direction is financially. Shout out Rachel Gibson. I don't think you should. Rachel Gibson, shout out to you. Thank you for the $5 super chat. She just showed love. I don't see a question, but if she does have a question, I'm sure one of my moderators will send it. My wife or my cousin. Don't try my cousin, y'all. My cousin cuss people out. She don't really give a damn about people's feelings like that. So please don't be in here trying to play with her, because she's ready to play. Yeah. So but yeah, just figure out why a guy ain't got it, because I don't think that if you've been waiting for that long and he's never had it to help you when you was broke and now he's broke again, there's something missing. So in 6 months, you should have seen him up in 6 months' time. At some point, he should have had some paper in his pocket. Maybe he's just young, maybe he's just unestablished, but he need more hustle than that. Than to be struggling all the time. So again, yeah. Yes, you can if you feel like he's good and he's stable, but if he's chronically broke, then I wouldn't do it, because you're just enabling him and you'll become the sugar mama instead of his woman, and he'll look to you for resources instead of look to give you resources and be a resource. How you doing? Shout out Joy Wells. Thank you for the super chat. She said, "Guy wasn't ready to commit, so I cheated. Got married, now separated. Okay, the guy has still been around but changed. I get it. Sleeps with other women. We barely go out. He lends money, comes over with or without sex. Are we just friends now?" So he wasn't ready to commit, so you cheated. Then you got married. Now you separated the guy that you probably cheated on him with and got married. And you said he's still been around, but changed. He sleeps with other women. He's just not as committed because of what he's been through, probably with you. He said y'all barely go out. He lends you money and he comes over with the world. Yeah, I feel like he's put you in the friends with benefits box because he probably doesn't trust you. He knows you're capable of hurting him. Um, and he probably just in a different place, like in life. You're not the only disappointment he's ever suffered, I would imagine. And so at this point, he may be a little bit jaded, and a little bit, a little bit uh, uh, trepidatious about trying to seek real love or a real relationship. And so at this point, he's just trying to figure out, how he can get what he wants out of his relationship situations without committing himself or obligating himself to women who he might not be able to trust. Um, yeah, if he feels like he can't trust you, there's almost no way to turn yourself into anything but a woman that he's gonna love and look out for, but never commit to. Not saying he will never commit. I'm just saying that it becomes a harder sell when he's been disappointed by you emotionally. So yeah, y'all not just friends now. Y'all just friends with benefits, and he really does care. So I would use that term, friends with benefits, because everybody's not friends with benefits. Some women are getting banged by men who don't care about them, and they say, "Oh, we just friends with benefits." No, a person has to actually be your friend to be a friends with benefits. Recently, I did an interview for Huffington Post, and the article that the journalist was writing was about friends with benefits, and that was quoted. And you can look that up in the Huffington Post. It was done recently. I think it was a few weeks ago that came out. But anyway, the friends with benefits article was interesting because I think a lot of people, and I made this point in the article, that a lot of people confuse, F buddies with friends with benefits because it brings a bit of shame to say that we're not really friends. I'm just letting him hit it at his convenience. And so, saying, well, we're friends with benefits, takes a bit of that outward shame away, that public shame away. But if a guy really cares about you as a friend, a friend is really committed to the relationship with or without sex. You introduce sex to a friend's relationship to create friends with benefits. You don't come into the relationship for sex and call yourself friends with benefits, but that's another story. Suppose it's a video for a different day. In Diaz Mall, shout out to you. She said, hi Kev, what questions can you ask a guy to deduce if he's ready for a relationship? Any guy, so I won't waste time on date 2 or 3. I don't think that his answer to any question will give you as much information as I don't think that his answer to any question will give you as much information as watching his actions, especially his actions around and related to sex. Whether or not he pressures you, whether or not he pushes for it, whether or not he seems to be focused on it, whether or not he's a bit hypersexual in your interactions with him. Those things give you a little bit more of a hint than if you could, any question that you could ask, because a person can bullshit you to death, and some people are really good at bullshit. Some people don't really need they don't really need an opportunity because they're just so good at bullshitting that they can talk right into your panties and talk themselves right out. And like there are people who can manipulate the words in such a way that it just puts you in a very vulnerable position. So yeah, there are questions that you can ask, and maybe I'll do a video on the list of good first date questions, good first date topics. I think that will be a helpful thing. But again, it's just a guide to steer the conversation into a place where you can measure the depth of his communication. You can't take everything a person tells you, especially on the first date, as a fact. You got to remember you're meeting a man's representative. and a man's meeting your representative, you're not meeting the real person when you meet somebody on the first date. You're meeting their representative, their mask of perfection. And so, understanding that, yes, you can ask a question and get a really good answer, feel better about it. But I know women who've gone off those same great answers that they got on the first date end up, face down, ass up on the first date, and then they get ghosted. And after that, they never hear from the guy, or they don't make it to a second date because they thought, oh my God, all his answers were so great, his conversation was so great, he seemed to want future so bad, he seemed to be so motivated by real love, and then he just hit it and quit it. And, so I don't want you to put yourself in a position where I give you a list of questions and then you believe those, your trust for me, makes you believe him to such a degree that you do something that you can't take back, or, you give him something you can't get back, and then he runs off, and so I want you to, there are questions and there are conversation topics that you should bring up in the first date, definitely. And I think I will do a video or of something about that. But I don't want you to take a man's word at face value. You should always match a man's words up next to his actions. And so that would take time. And that's why I always, advise women to really slow down with the sex stuff. Stop trying to hook a man with sex or make a man like you with sex or buy a man with, like, you can't do that for multiple reasons. But yes, there are questions to answer your question. There are questions that you should be asking. But no, you can't take even them at face value. They're just a good guide to figure out how deep he can go conversationally and where his mind is, because you can't bullshit ideas you've never really fathomed. So you can kind of get a glimpse into the depths of a man's mind with the right questions, but it doesn't give you a glimpse into his character or his intent. And so that's the biggest idea, is that, you don't get character and intent from the answers to these questions. You just get what he would like to give you, so I'll look into making that a video. I think that's a good idea. Human by Nature, shout out to Human by Nature. Thank you so much for waiting. Human by Nature, shout out. Thank you so much for the super chat too. She said, had a date 2 weeks ago, already made plans when he wanted to. Oh, you use a lot of abbreviations. Had I don't know what that you write in shorthand. Had a date 2 weeks ago, already made plans, and he wanted the second date. We talked almost every day till Saturday. Haven't heard from him in 4 days. Texted him tonight, no response. He did say he was going to be busy on a business trip. Want to know if I'm about to waste my time. It looks like you're about to waste your time. I understood enough of that question. And I think that you might just be a complex writer, because I think that it takes a great deal of intelligence to abbreviate in a way you did, because it's structured well. I suck at abbreviations and acronyms. Anyway, you said you haven't really heard from him in 4 days. You went on a second day. Y'all talked every day, and then Saturday he just kind of dropped dead. Yeah, people go on business trips. Yeah, people be busy, but business trips are interesting. I don't know what type of business he's into, but most business is done by 5 or 6 o'clock. Most business trips, or even if you're doing business dinners late night, you're not up to 1 a.m. or 12 or 9 or 10 a lot of times, still conducting business. So again, I don't know what he does, but it would seem like he would be available if he was still interested to contact you before bed. At the very least, chit chat with you for 5 minutes. In the last 4 days, he's had 5 minutes. I wouldn't imagine that he's been completely unavailable. How's this, my water? It sound like I'm losing my voice. That's what's up. I think I need it though. I've been talking so much this week. I was on the phone for 5 hours the other day. I think I'm getting some residual voice loss, retroactive voice loss. Anyway, yeah, I don't think he's been completely unavailable for the last 4 days. I just think his level of interest isn't where it needs to be for him to think that he needs to reach out. And that just might mean y'all need to spend more time together. But after 2 days, I'm trying to figure out why y'all like why y'all haven't had like more of a routine established. Because if a guy can disappear on you for 4 days, and there's no guarantee that you're going to talk to him tomorrow, and you texted him and he didn't respond, he's just really being neglectful. So that you have to decide if that's what you want. And a lot of times women ask me this, they have a great date with a guy and they talk to him up until a point and he falls off the face of the map. And then they're asking me what you're asking me, are you about to waste your time? Is he really busy? This, that, or the other. But the problem is that it still neglects what you need. Um, who cares if he's busy? That means he's going to be too busy in a relationship. What do you need in a relationship? Like, what do you require from a man? Like, don't forget your requirements just because you're a bit confused at his conduct. um so if he is really busy on the trip, is this appropriate behavior for somebody who you would be in a relationship with? And can your man neglect you in on business trips in a relationship? If he was your man, could he disappear for 4 days? And y'all don't owe each other shit. So I'm not saying that, oh yeah, because he's been neglectful, he's done something wrong. Y'all don't owe each other nothing. But what I'm saying is, a man will show you who he is. And you just have to believe him. If he's a man who's a workaholic, or he's non-communicative, is that the word? Non-communicative. Non-communicative. I think that's a word. We're gonna give it. It's gonna be a word tonight. Damn it, I'm a little tired. But if he doesn't communicate enough, regardless, if he doesn't communicate enough, and he's made a habit out of being neglectful, and being distant, then even if you get the relationship with him, he has the propensity to do the same. Good communicators always are in communication. Um, Even guys who keep a healthy distance from a woman until they figure out if she likes them, they're still transparent about what's going on. They're not disrespectful in a way that they neglect a woman. They just say, hey, listen, I got your message. I don't have a lot of time right now, but I will be getting back to you probably around next Tuesday. Like, they'll let you know that, listen, I ain't got time, but I'm still gonna get with you. And he's not even really messing with you. And if he's on a business trip, and there's not no woman in his hotel room, or he's not having something else distract him, I don't know, man. I feel like his interest is either low or he is being distracted by something else. Because if I have a crush on a woman, I'm probably thinking about her before I go to sleep. I'll probably send her a text message if she's texted me, and he's not responding to you, which tells me that he really doesn't care if you have the wrong idea about it, or if you start getting the wrong idea about his level of interest. Um, and I guess that could just be him, being a player, being hard to get. But at the same time, what are your standards? What do you require as far as communication goes? What do you want from a man that you're entertaining and you're giving your time to? That has to mean something. That has to count. And women tiptoe around a man. Like I said, I'm so tired of listening to women tiptoe around a man's fragilities when it becomes about a commitment, or when it's about how much he calls him or how much he communicates with him. It's like, oh, I don't want to scare him. He don't like to communicate a lot. Oh, I don't want to scare him. He don't like to be on the phone. Oh, I don't want to scare him. He don't want to talk about commitment. Oh, I don't want to scare him. He said we moving too fast. Everybody worried about scaring this big man, but he ain't that fragile when he bending you over and he telling you that you need to come over there and do this for him and cook food for him, and whatever else y'all got going on. When y'all playing house, he's completely stern. He's completely solid. He's completely masculine. He's completely strong. But every time he's required anything, a lot of these guys crumble and they fragile. And he's skittish. He can't be bothered. And then y'all tiptoe around their fragilities. Y'all tiptoe around their sensibilities, trying to make sure that you don't scare them off. I just think it's not that serious. I feel like, if a guy can be scared off, then scare his ass off and get somebody more serious about the job of being with you and being your man. That's just how I feel. But again, I'm not shitting on you, human by nature. I think that you asked a very good question. But yeah, if he's neglectful, I wouldn't text him again. Man, this is a long ass answer to a short question. I'm so sorry. But to answer your question, I would not text him again. I wouldn't reach out to him again. He know what he did. He know that you reached out to him. Don't be that girl, not getting responses, reaching out again and again. If he wants to talk to you, he'll hit you up. And when he hits you up, he need to explain why the hell he's been so goofy and distant. That's just how I feel. But you have to have your standards, and you have to check a man when he gets out of line. And a real man who knows he's wrong will take the correction. You know, he ain't gonna let you bitch him, but he'll take the correction. So that's where I'm at with that. I hope that helps. And thank you for your super chat. All right, I got it's 12:09. I got 6 minutes. I would, I used to do that thing where I'd linger and I'd be like, I got 20 more minutes, and I'd be on there for another hour. But I gotta go to work tomorrow, so I legit got 7 more minutes or six more minutes. Somebody said, Kev, do you also do Skype calls? I'm trying to get that together. I gotta get my internet together because if I do a Skype call now, it'll be all choppy. I'll be freezing up, and it'll probably freeze on my bottom tooth or something. So I don't do Skype right now because it's just so choppy. My house was built in like 49, and so classic houses can be beautiful, but the plaster inlaid walls don't do well for internet connections, and so I have to get a signal booster, and we had one, and we couldn't figure out the password to it. It was hell. But when I get a signal booster, which should be very soon, I just keep forgetting about it until I get in these live sessions and somebody asks me about Skype. But when I get a signal booster, I'll definitely start doing Skypes because I'll have a stronger signal from the very beginning. Vanessa Harris was in that thing. She said, "Good night, folks." What's up, Vanessa? Latifah John. I don't know what. Oh, Latifah John. She said, "Hey, Kev." Shout out to Latifah John. Thank you, Nene, for that. Latifah John said, "Hey, Kev, for years I felt like the reason I was never interested in guys were never interested in me romantically is because I'm overweight. Why is that?" Well, guys have, people like what they like, and you're somebody's type, but you're not. When you're overweight, you're gonna be less people's type. And so if you think about how many people that might be compatible with you in the first place, those people who will be compatible with you just psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, that number gets chopped down if for whatever reason they're not into your size or your shape, right? So you start dividing the pie, and you have to shop from a much smaller pond and a much smaller cross section of the population when you are overweight. And that's the challenge of a lot of women who are overweight. It's not that they're not valuable. It's not that there aren't men who find them valuable. It's that you're dealing with a much smaller percentage of the population. Not always much, but you're always dealing with a smaller percentage of the population of men who either for whatever reason can't get around that or aren't attracted to it. And so that's the challenge of a woman who's overweight. There are a plethora of different types of men who like overweight women. There are a lot of men who prefer overweight women. So that's not particularly, or that's not the only thing that is at play here is your weight. But if your weight has been causing you, to fail at relationships or to not reach a point to where you can call yourself in a relationship or, say to yourself that I'm in a relationship, I'm wondering if your weight hasn't done other things or if it has affected your self-esteem. My thing is this: I want everybody to feel beautiful. I want everybody to feel valuable, and I want everybody to see that and manifest that in their lives and in their relationships. But at the same time, I don't want people to hold on to things that might handicap them if they're hurting their self-esteem, hurting their self-concept, hurting their self-worth, right? And a lot of people will deal with or struggle with being overweight, and they won't do anything about it. And sometimes I like to ask them, and again, if you're not struggling with your self-esteem, this is not for you. But for women who do struggle with their self-esteem and do struggle with their self-image, is it more traumatic to deal with being overweight for 30 years or 20 years, or for the majority of your life? Is that more traumatic than just putting a hard 1 or 2 years in and like removing that from the barriers that are causing you a lot of pain? And so I don't know how emotionally attached you are to the issue of your overweight outside of what guys think. But sometimes when people reach out to me about their weight, the question is, why do guys feel this way about my weight? And sometimes I have to ask, what do you feel about your weight? And if you feel the same way that guys seem to feel about your weight, then the question isn't about guys anymore. It's about you. And if you're not comfortable with it, then how can you require somebody else to be comfortable with it? So, sometimes that's not the answer people want to hear. But, if I had a handicap for whatever reason, I had something that I felt was holding me back, just as a man, and maybe it's just my masculine energy. Men are problem solvers. What's the problem? Let's do something about it. And that's kind of how, in my way. And I don't think it's hyper masculinity. I just think it's natural masculinity. There's nothing wrong with basic masculinity, but in my masculinity, I see, if I have an issue with my weight, and it's causing me, issues with dating, issues with connecting with people. My self-esteem's down. Emotionally, I'm all over the place. And I'm not saying that's you, Latifah John, at all, but I'm saying for those women who are, it's even though it seems like a struggle, it is, trust me, much easier to just get control of your weight so that you don't have to spend your whole life wondering if your weight is what's holding you back. Remove that from the equation so that you can have more and feel more. But to your question, um, yes, there's definitely a correlation with your weight being an issue or being a contributor to the fact that you are receiving less interest than more interest. But again, you aren't encountering a lot of guys who would actually prefer you the way you are. That's the thing too. And a lot of times with women, it's not just weight, it's style. It's confidence. I know women who are very overweight and very confident, and they have men chasing them. They can't go nowhere without the dog sniffing at them. And that's just how it is. And sometimes I'm amazed, by some of the women I know like that. But at the same time, it's because they understand how beautiful they are inside, and they don't believe anything outside of that. And that's their reality, is that they understand their value. They understand that they're not for everybody, but they're for somebody. And so they take that belief and they believe in themselves. And when men see you believe in yourself, and obviously, I don't care if skinny or overweight, good hygiene and some nice style goes a long way. A woman who carries herself well, got some nice style, just doesn't give up on looking her best just because she's overweight. That's sometimes the difference. A lot of women who struggle with weight also struggle with style and the way they present themselves, because they've given up on being attractive. They don't feel attractive, so they don't dress attractive, and it is a snowball. As shit rolls downhill from there, and it contributes to it. And so they say, well, my weight is holding me back, but sometimes your style is holding you back. Your lack of confidence is holding you back. The way you carry yourself is holding you back. The energy you give, right? The lowly energy that you give can hold you back, because no one wants to join any of us in misery, right? When people think about being with somebody, they think about being with somebody and being happy. No one wants to join you in misery, whoever you are. And so sometimes the person who deals with weight, can bring a heaviness because of the insecurity. And so, Latifah John, if you don't deal with any of those insecurities and your weight doesn't bother you as much as it has seemed to bother some guys, then I wouldn't suggest you do anything about it unless your concerns are health related. But if you don't like your weight any more than some of the guys that you've encountered, then it's time to look at doing something about your weight. And I'm a person who believes in personal responsibility. I'm a person who believes in fighting, always fighting, never surrender. I don't wave white flags. I don't give up on anything that really challenges me in that way. And that's just how I move. I believe in really fighting for things that I believe in. And if you believe that you can have more, then maybe you should do something differently than you've done. If you don't do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. And that is true for almost anybody in any situation. And so I'm not telling you to lose weight. I'm not getting your business about that. I just want you to be as confident as I know that you could be if this same issue wasn't a problem and guys weren't concerned with your weight or overlooking you because of your weight. But yeah, guys, like the standard of beauty in America is it's kind of set in stone at the moment. Um, I guess it's a range, but generally overweight isn't in the middle of that spectrum. It's on the very end. And so that's why the standard of beauty, and maybe you're not in America, but most of the world has a pretty mid-range standard of beauty as it pertains to weight. And so anytime you fall outside of that, men are probably just gonna uh, the pickings will get a little bit more slim. Um, I've had a lot of clients go on what was that what was that? What's that website? Woo Plus. Woo Plus has a lot of people who like overweight women, and that's a social media site. Woo Plus is for overweight women to find men of all sizes, but you get a lot of fetish guys there, and so you really gotta watch out for what's motivating a guy to go there. Sometimes a man will assume because a woman's overweight that she has you know tough self-esteem or self-esteem issues. So you just got to watch for those types of predators to make sure that a man is there because he truly thinks you're beautiful and not because he thinks you're for whatever reason an easy target, or he just has a fetish for being with overweight women physically, but he doesn't have an idea about committing to a woman or even being in a relationship. Just be careful. If it's in your way, remove the stone, but don't live with it forever and wonder why it helps you or holds you back. Okay. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Y'all can follow me on Instagram at Kev Hick 24. You can email me or talk to me on the phone and schedule a consultation at www.girltalkwithguys.com. What else do I have to tell y'all? Uh, I don't know. I don't think I got any more announcements. Anyway, I got some more videos coming up this week. I'm working on a few of them. So this next month, you'll get a lot more content from me. It's just been a busy, raggedy month. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'm 5 minutes over my time, but that's better than an hour over my time. I usually do that. Anyway, y'all have a good night. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll get with y'all later. I'm going to try to end this thing the first time. And yes, and.